If a woman was in labour and she said, I want to kill this baby, you would be okay.
No.
Okay, so what's the cutoff?
Labor is like
a day
in
before?
process of giving birth.
What about a
and
day before?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think that it's fine? Have you ever seen what it looks like?
Yeah.
An abortion taking place?
I mean, there's like different types of abortion. You can take the pill.
You think you can take a pill? No.
What's the difference between the baby a day before the woman goes into labor and then while the woman's in labor? Why does one get the right to life and the other one doesn't?
I just think it's until the child is born, I think you should prioritize the
You said in
the
labor, though.
person.
Do you support late-term abortions? Is that what it's called when it's later
Yeah,
on?
late-term.
Would you support that or be an advocate for a late-term abortion?
I mean, it's not my body.
If you had to say from your standpoint, though, if you had to make a cutoff of when you think is a reasonable time where it's no longer ethical to have an abortion, what would that cutoff be?
My whole stance is that I don't think it's my choice to make that for other people.
So if
I
a
think
woman
it's
was
up to
in
someone else.
if a woman was in labour and she said, I want to kill this baby, you would be
I mean,
okay.
no.
Okay, so what's the cutoff?
Then, I mean, like labor is
A
like
day
in
before?
process of giving birth.
What about a
and
day
that's
day before?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think that it's fine? Have you ever seen what it looks like?
Yeah.
An abortion taking place?
Yeah.
You have seen that? What does it look like?
I mean, there's like different types of abortion. You can take the pill.
You think you can take a pill? No. In terms of a late-term abortion, like the day before, let's say. Do you know what that would look like?
I mean, I've seen what like a full-term like fetus looks like.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the baby a day before the woman goes into labor and then while the woman's in labor? What's the difference between those children?
Like,
why does one get the right to life and the other one doesn't?
I just think it's prioritize until the child is born. I think you should prioritize the
You said in labor,
the
though.
person bearing the child first. Their mental health, their body, everything.
But are you agreeing that there's another person involved?
I mean, potentially there could be.
Potentially, or is there? Because if someone were to get killed, you wouldn't say potentially someone got killed. You'd be like, someone got killed. That's crazy.
Okay, then no.
So there is another person involved.
No.
So just to make both of your stances clear, you both don't think that, like, when do you think that the unborn becomes a person?
I would disagree with that. I am not as extreme in that way. I'm pro-choice, but I would say I used to be much more aloof with it. Like, anybody should be able to get an abortion, not at any time, but like in a reasonable amount of time, which I don't know exactly what that would be. And the more I listen to podcasts like this and other things that talk about this, I would say I completely agree that there needs to be like a serious cutback, and like you probably know the statistics of how much it happens. It's like crazy. It's probably like really out of control. And
what happens?
How much abortion happens. Like, I think that there's probably a lot of people using it as, a backup plan.
Birth control.
Exactly. And I don't agree with that. I do think that there's probably a lot of benefit to cutting it back.
If you had to say, when do you think that a human life becomes a human life?
That's tough. I would say it's pretty early for me. Like, I think, when it's just the first little cells that usually everyone talks about, like, I would say, yeah, that's reasonable. If you just found out you were pregnant.
What if I were to tell you that it's an unassailable scientific fact that a human life becomes a human life at the moment of conception?
That would be a claim that it's like hard for me to fully believe that. But if you like
propaganda's real. If
you could fully convince me of that, then yeah, I would say that
90% of biologists actually agree that life begins at conception. So if we're deciding when someone lives or dies, I think we have to have a definitive point. We can't just arbitrarily pick a point in pregnancy to decide whether someone has the right to life or not. And since biology does say fertilization is the start of life, it seems to me that that's the only like viable time we can say that that's when life begins. And therefore we must protect all life from the moment of conception all the way up until birth and afterwards too.
Seems like you're very open-minded about it, which is good. And I think that if you follow this path of logic, you'll eventually find yourselves with your back up against the wall, where you realize that it's not even scientifically contested with anybody who's worth their salt in the field of biology to say that human life doesn't begin at the moment of conception. So, I mean, you find yourself in a position, and I've done this as well. I used to be pro-life. I used to be pro-choice. Myself. Right. And eventually, you're just confronted with the facts, and you can't really.
I don't know if this was asked. One question for you: do you have a sense of, like, should a woman be able to get an abortion at any point throughout the pregnancy, or do you have a
She said
cutoff?
yeah.
I feel like that's her choice. I feel like it's
Oh.
not for me
Yeah,
to
she said yeah.
decide for someone
Well,
else.
so for example, like, would you be okay with women being able to get abortions a day before they would otherwise give birth?
I mean, like I said, it's not my choice. It's
Does
for
that
somebody
No,
else.
but-
I feel like it's excessive to do it at that point, but at the end of the day, I don't.
Why is it excessive? What's wrong with an abortion right before birth, or whether it's right after conception? What's the fundamental difference?
I mean, as something's developing, like, it feels like it's like, oh, that's right there at the cutoff. Do you know
It-
what I mean?
that's
So that
interesting, yeah.
feels like there's
Well,
a
but-
reasonable time in which, but late-term abortions don't happen that frequent.
Right,
Well,
but
what's the
just
difference
as
between-
just in terms
So-
of having an intellectual conversation about it, would you be okay with a woman getting an abortion a day before she would otherwise have
That's
a
her
healthy?
body. That is her body. That is her choice. It is not my choice for what someone should do or shouldn't. Like,
Would
what
you be
I would
willing-
do is I wouldn't have an abortion at all. But that's me.
Why wouldn't you have an abortion?
Because I feel like for me, like, what aligns with me, I wouldn't want to do that. But it's not my choice
Well,
to make that for someone else.
When you say it doesn't align for you, is it like a moral thing for you that you wouldn't have an abortion because
Well,
you
the
think it
whole
kills
debate
a person?
is moral.
Or,
The whole thing is morality.
but for you, you said that you wouldn't have one. Is it a moral thing for you?
yes, the whole topic is moral. So,
do
yes,
you think
it's
that
moral on every
if I were to
sense.
say I'm for child abuse, but you guys aren't, therefore I can abuse my child because I personally am not like against child abuse, or would you step in and say, excuse me, you can't abuse your child, right? Like moral issues are our problems. It's your problem too. You know, you can't just say I'm personally pro-life, but you can do whatever you want. You see
Well,
what
there
I
are
mean?
different things that's an extreme.
I don't think so. I mean, her child could in some ways seem worse than just abusing your child, but I just want to understand in the sense of morality, since you agree it's a moral issue, right? Like we can agree on that at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, most things are a moral issue.
Right. And so let's talk about another moral issue where you would agree that there should be some kind of objective reality, right? Like, do you agree child abuse is wrong?
Yes.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Because
Like,
it
it's-
harms children, right?
Yes.
We can agree on that. And we
Yeah,
can
but
agree on
it's-
many other moral issues where we can both say, oh, that's wrong. That's hurting somebody else, right?
But this is like a more tricky topic. Like, it's
Why is it-
not
why
as
is it more
black
tricky
and
for
white
you?
as like hitting a child or something like that. This is something that there are responsibilities to bear once this happens. And there are a lot of children in foster care, and there's a lot of people who are pro, and I'm not saying this is you, right? But it becomes more tricky when it's like most of the people that are pro-life are just like, oh, just don't do anything or provide resources for people in tricky positions. Do you know what I mean? Like, domestic violence is a huge issue, and most of it isn't even put on to numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue honestly that pro-life people generally do care more about like the entire life versus just the fetus, because you hear that a lot, oh, pro-life people only care about the fetus. That's not true. Pregnancy resource centers actually are like 4-to-1 to Planned Parenthoods, and if you call up a Planned Parenthood and ask them, hey, I'm having a baby, do you have any like resources like diapers and like can I have a place to stay, they're gonna be like, what are you talking about? All we have is the abortion pill. Like, that's all we have for you. Whereas pro-life people are actually giving resources to women to be able to say, like, you can do this. You're strong enough to be a mother. So I would argue that that's really not the case.
And they'd also adopt the kid as well.
Yeah.
They would make you take it to term, and then the adoption list in America is much bigger than the amount of abortions that take place.